Good afternoon, students. I welcome you all for the class. Today, we'll be going to discuss regarding the important concept and the very most important topic, that is 8085 architecture. 8085 process architecture we'll be going to study in this class. So in the last class, we have studied regarding this basic introduction regarding this microprocessor and microcontroller. And we have also seen the differences between the microprocessor and the microcontroller, right? So today we'll be going to start with the actual concept, that is 8085 processor architecture. So for you people in this microprocessor, like you are going to study 8085 microprocessor. Like we are going to have different microprocessor, 8085, 8086, 8089, like different microprocessors are there. But in your curriculum, you are subjected with this 8085 processor, microprocessor, fine. So with this 8085 microprocessor architecture, like today in this session, we'll be going to see what is the architecture and what are the different functional units that are present in that architecture, and what is the working of each and every unit. Everything we'll be going to study in this today's class, fine. So let me give you the basic introduction of this 8085 microprocessor, fine. So here, this microprocessor is an electronic chip. As we have seen in the introductory part, this microprocessor is an electronic chip. So it that functions as a central processing unit of a computer. So normally we'll be going to have the CPU, right? Normally we'll be going to have a CPU. So, but when it comes to the microprocessor, when it comes to the processor or a microprocessor, so as I have said you yesterday that like we'll be going to have the motherboard. The processor will be going to have the motherboard. In that motherboard, like we'll be going to install this processor, microprocessor, fine. So it is a small chip, like it will be looking like this, like you'll be going to have this is a processor, and for this processor you will be going to have pins. So with the help of this pins, you are going to insert this processor onto the particular place where it has been allocated, fine. Each and every pin has a unique responsibility, unique action is going to be done by the each and every pin. So that pins, what is that pin, each and every pin is meant for, we'll be going to see in the pin diagram of 8085 microprocessor, fine. In the pin diagram, we are going to see all the things. Today, we'll be going to see how the architecture has been implemented, developed for this 8085 microprocessor. As I have said you, it is a small chip. It is a small chip. So it is going to function as the central processing unit. So this microprocessor is a small chip which is going to function as the central processing unit, where these microprocessors have been used. Like in our daily needs, like we'll be going to see it in microwave ovens and washing machines and mobile phones, etc., etc. Like that, in many of the applications, we'll be going to make uses microprocessor. But when it comes to our daily needs, like micro ovens, washing machines, electrical machines, like mobile phones, in each and everywhere we'll be going to make use of this microprocessor, fine. So when it comes to the advanced applications, like in radars, satellites, flights, they'll be going to use the processors for in advanced applications also, fine. So here, all the processors, what is the basic concept of all the processor is, so all the processes, what they have to do, they have to store the program execution, fine. The basic concept of stored program execution is going to be done in all the processes. Here the program or the instructions, they are stored sequentially in the memory. As we all know, So they will be going to store sequentially in the memory. So every microprocessor has its own associated set of instructions. So 8085 microprocessor set of instructions is different from 8086 microprocessor set of instructions. So 8085 set is completely applicable to 8085 only, and 8086 set is completely applicable to 8086 microprocessor only. So each and every microprocessor has its own different set of instructions. So this instruction set for the microprocessor will be in two forms. One in mnemonic, which we already know, like MOV, move, ALT, alt, like CPY, copy. So in the shortcut form language, assembly language, we call it as a mnemonic language. Fine. In mnemonics, we'll be going to have this microprocessor. So here, this 8085 microprocessor, we call it as 8085. We call it as 8085. So 8085 is normally termed as 8085 microprocessor, and you have to make sure that it is an 8-bit microprocessor. So which is going to be introduced by Intel. In which year? In 1977. Fine. So this is the basic history. Like this 8085 microprocessor is an 8-bit microprocessor. When it comes to the 8086 microprocessor, it is a 16-bit microprocessor. But when it comes to 8085 microprocessor, it is a 8-bit microprocessor. Fine. So it is the conventional design based on 8080 microprocessor. This 8085 microprocessor came from the 8080 microprocessor. This 8080 is a conventional Neumann design based on Intel 8080 microprocessor. Fine. So here this 8085 microprocessor has interrupts with the three maskable interrupts are there. So RST 7.5, 6.5 and 5.5. So I'll be going to discuss when we are going to discuss the interrupts. So this is the basic introduction of this 8085 microprocessor. So here, as a once I'm repeating the things, 80 first point is here I'm writing. First point is, it is an 8-bit microprocessor. It is a small chip which is of 8-bit microprocessor, and this chip uh, is inserted on a particular slot allotted to it. Fine. Here we'll be going to have an accumulator, and we'll be going to have a flag resistor. We'll be going to have a 6 general purpose resistors. We'll be going to have 6 general purpose resistors, and also we'll be going to have an 8-bit arithmetic and logical unit. We'll be going to have an 8-bit internal bus we'll be going to have, and we'll be going to have 8-bit accumulator, as I have said you, and we'll be going to have a 16-bit program counter. We'll be going to have 16-bit program counter and 16-bit stack pointer. Fine. These are the things that we are going to have in this 8085 processor architecture. So 8085 is a single chip microprocessor which is of 8-bit. It consists of accumulator, flag resistor, 6 general purpose resistors, and 8-bit arithmetic and logical unit, 8-bit internal bus, and 16-bit program counter and 16-bit stack pointer. Fine. So for this 8085 microprocessor, suppose this is the 8085 microprocessor, like we need to, it requires, like in order to work, it requires 5 volts power supply. Fine. It requires 5 volts power supply. So here it can access up to 64 kilobytes of memory. It can access up to 64 kilobytes of memory. So here the maximum frequency we have to give for this 8085 microprocessor is 3 megahertz. Fine. This is the requirement in order to work the microprocessor. Fine. This 8085 microprocessor, in order to work this, we need a 5 volts DC power supply. 5 volts DC power supply is required, and it can access up to 64 kilobytes of memory, and it needs the frequency of 3 megahertz frequency is going to be required for this 8085 processor architecture. So this is the basic introduction of 8085 processor architecture. Now I'll be going to show the 8085 processor architecture. Here, this is how the 8085 processor architecture has been implemented. This is the circuitry of 8085 processor architecture. Here, as I have said you before, like we'll be going to have an accumulator, like we'll be going to have the flag register and arithmetic and logical unit, instruction register, decoder. These are the 6 general purpose registers. So as I have said you, like 6 general purpose registers will be there. So these are the 6 general purpose registers. So 2 3 4 so these are the 6 till here. Till program counter, we'll be going to have the 6 general purpose register. Like you will be going to have the register section, ALU section, and we'll be going to have the interrupt control section, which is very important. We'll be going to have instruction register, decoder, and you'll be going to have the control section in order to control all the things, timing and control unit, address and data bus buffers, serial IO, and control section. So these are the different functional parts that are going to be available in the 8085 processor architecture. Fine. So these parts are going to be very important. So we'll be going to see what each and every part is meant for, like what is the instruction register is meant for, what is the instruction decoder, and what is the purpose of the interrupt controller, what is the purpose of serial IO control, what is the purpose of timing and control unit, what are address buffers, what are data and address buffers. So everything we'll be going to see at each and every one in one by one section. So first and the foremost thing here comes the register section. So here the main thing is over here is this first one is register section. So here this W and Z, these W and Z are temporary resistors. W and Z are temporary resistors. And here B, C, D, E, H, L are general purpose resistors. So B, C, D, E and H, L are general purpose resistors. Listen carefully, fine. It is very important topic, and which is going to be very much repeated in your previous question papers, fine. So here the resistors, here this is the resistor section. In this resistor section, W and Z are the temporary resistors. So W, Z are the temporary resistors. B, C, D, E, H, L are the general purpose resistors. Fine. Here we also having the special purpose resistors. So special purpose resistors are SP in the sense stack pointer, SP in the sense stack pointer, PC in the sense program counter, and this accumulator resistor and the flag resistor. These are the special purpose resistors. So I am writing over here the special purpose resistors are, stack pointer, second one is program counter, and the third one is instruction register, next one is accumulator, and next one is flag resistor. These are the special purpose resistors. So we have seen three different types of resistors. The first one is temporary resistor. The temporary resistors are W and Z over here, and special purpose resistors are these are the things: stack pointer, program counter, instruction register, accumulator, and the flag resistor. These are the special purpose resistors. And when it comes to the general purpose resistors, like we'll be going to have BC, DE, and HL. So these are the general purpose resistors we are having. So this is regarding the resistor section of this 8085 microprocessor. And next comes the ALU section. ALU section. This ALU, as the name itself indicates, so this is the second one. ALU indicates arithmetic and logical unit. Fine. ALU performs the arithmetic operations and logical operations. What are arithmetic operations? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division are the arithmetic operations. When it comes to the logical operation, and or not are the logical operations. Ending, oring, xoring, all this comes under the logical operation. So this is the main purpose of the arithmetic and logical unit. And next one is the control section. So here instruction register. Next we'll be going to see the instruction register. So the third one is the instruction register. So what is this instruction register? Instruction register, in short, we call it as an IR. So this IR is an 8-bit register. So here, what is the purpose of this instruction register is, when an instruction is fetched from the memory, then it is stored in this register. So that is the purpose of this instruction in register. So when any of the instruction is fetched from the memory, that instruction is going to be stored in the instruction register. And next comes the fourth one is instruction decoder. So here, what is this instruction decoder is going to do is, so it is going to take the information from the instruction register and decodes the instruction to be performed. So that is the purpose of the instruction decoder. So as you can see the arrow mark over here, so this instruction decoder is going to get the information from the instruction register. So it takes the information from the instruction register and decodes the instruction to be performed. So that is the purpose of this instruction decoder. And next one is the timing and control unit. The fifth one is the timing and control unit. So what is the purpose of this timing and control unit is, it is going to provide timing and control signals to the microprocessor to perform various operations. Different operations it needs to perform. So in order to perform all those operations, the timing and control unit should work properly. So that is the purpose of this timing and control unit. And next one is interrupt control. Next important one, sixth one is interrupt control. So this interrupt control, if you have seen this interrupt control, we are going to have 6 pins over here. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 6 pins are going to be there for this interrupt control. So generally uh, external hardware is going to be connected to these pins. So external hardware, outside external hardware is going to be connected to these pins. So what the purpose of these pins is, these pins provide interrupt signals sent by the external hardware to the microprocessor. So then what the microprocessor is going to do, the microprocessor is going to send acknowledgement for receiving the interrupt signal. Generally this INTA signal is there na, so this INTA signal is used for acknowledgement. So INTA signal is used for acknowledgement. So that is the purpose of this interrupt control section. So for this interrupt control section, we are going to have a 6 pins. For that 6 pins, external hardware is going to be connected. So whenever the external hardware is going to be connected, then only we'll be going to process the data, or else we'll be not going to process the data for the external hardware. So that is the major purpose of this 8085 microprocessor. So when a trap signal has been occurred over here, trap in the sense it is an indication of interrupt. So when a trap occurs, it is the symbolizing that there is an interrupt from the external hardware. So that what it is going to do is, so it is going to halt the process which is currently running, and it is going to take the interrupt from the outside environment. So that is the main purpose of this trap signal. So what are the different interrupts in the sense RST 7.5, RST 6.5 and RST 5.5. So these are the three interrupts we are going to have. And the trap signal in the sense the what the thing I have explained you. And here we'll be going to have the INTR. INTR is nothing but the interrupt. Whenever it wants the microprocessor, with this pin it is going to interrupt to the microprocessor. And what the microprocessor in turn will do is it is going to send an interrupt acknowledgement signal to this to this microprocessor, which is going to have on the other side of the control signal. So this is regarding the interrupt control. Fine. So after this interrupt control, we'll be going to have the seventh part over here is address bus. So the seventh part is address bus. So address and data bus buffer. So here address buffer is there, data and address buffer is there. Fine. So we'll be going to study the first address buffer. So it is an 8-bit unidirectional. Unidirectional in the sense it is going to travel in only one direction. So it is an 8-bit unidirectional buffer. What is the use of this buffer is it is used for address lines. So this buffer is used for address lines, and it is used to isolating the microprocessor from getting loaded. So that is the main reason for this address buffer. So it is used to drive the high order bus. When it comes to higher order and lower order in the sense, top bits we call it as a higher order and lower bits we call it as a lower order. So that is the purpose of this address buffer. And address and data buffer, next one is the address and data buffer, eighth one is address and data buffer. So it is an 8-bit bidirectional buffer. So here address buffer, when we have seen the address buffer, it is an 8-bit unidirectional. But when we have seen regarding the address and data and address buffer, so it is an bidirectional one. So it is a bidirectional buffer, so used for the address lines only. It is used to drive the lower order address and data bus. Fine. That is the purpose of this address and data bus buffer. So when it comes to the address buffer, it is used to hold the higher order bits. When it comes over here data and address buffer, it is going to carry the lower order bits. So that is the difference between this address buffer and this address buffer. You may get doubt that why two address buffers. Two address buffer in the sense like higher order bits are going to be handled by this address buffer and lower order bits are going to be handled by this address buffer. So that is the address and data buffer. Next one, we'll be going to have the serial IO control. So ninth one. So serial IO control. So for this serial IO control, we can see two pins over here. See SID and SOD. SID in the sense serial input data. SOD in the sense serial output data. So this is the serial input data and this is the serial output data. So this unit is used for serial data communication. So why this unit is used for is, this is used for serial data communication. Fine. So here the purpose of this SID, serial input data, is to receive the data serially. Is to receive the data serially, and the purpose of this SOD is used to send the data serially. So that is the purpose of SID and SOD. SID and SOD are serial input data and serial output data. This SID is used for receiving the data serially, and SOD is used for sending the data serially. So the data on these line is accepted or transferred under software control by serial IO control block. So that is the purpose of the serial IO control block. And next comes the uh, uh, all the things we have. Last one is here, increment and decrement. The 10th one is increment and decrement. So what do you mean by increment and decrement in the sense? So here, what if you want to update anything, so it is going to be incremented. So if we want to, if anything has been taken out, then it is going to be decremented. So that is the purpose of this increment and decrement uh, register. So this is how the basic components of 8086 8085 microprocessor has been done. Fine. So all the blocks we have covered over here. So this is the very important diagram. So you have to learn the diagram and you have to draw it in your rough, so that it will be very useful in order to remember all the things when we are writing your examination, right? So this is how the 8085 processor architecture is going to be here. So uh, the major important things in this are the special purpose resistors, arithmetic and logical unit, accumulator, temporary resistors. So all are very equally important when we are going to note this 8085 processor architecture. Fine. So this is how the processor architecture is going to be. So this is the theory part. So I'll be going to send you this theory part also. So by seeing the diagram, you can read the theory, so that it will be very much easy useful to you. Fine. As I have said you, 8085, which is going to be pronounced as 8085. So we shouldn't call it as 8085 normally. We have to call it as an 8085 microprocessor, and it is an 8-bit microprocessor, as I have said you earlier. Fine. So we have seen the following configurations also. So what are the configurations we are having? So it is going to have the 8-bit data bus, 16-bit address bus, which can be extended up address up to 64 kilobytes of memory, a 16-bit program counter, 16-bit stack pointer, and six 8-bit registers arranged in pairs, BC, DE, and HL. Fine. So BC, DE, HL are the register pairs in which we can hold the data, and it is going to require so 5 volts power supply, which is operating at 3.2 megahertz frequency, single phase clock. So what are the applications in the sense? It is used in the washing machines and the microwave ovens, as I have said you. So I'll be going to tell you the things. So accumulator is going to perform the arithmetic, and I mean it is an 8-bit resistor used to perform the arithmetic logical units. Stored data is going to be stored in this accumulator. Fine. It is connected to the internal data bus and the ALU, arithmetic and logical unit. So this arithmetic and logical unit is going to perform the arithmetic operations as well as the logical operations. What are the arithmetic operations in the sense? Like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division are the arithmetic operations, and logical operations are nothing but and or not are the logical operations. When it comes to the general purpose resistors, so as I have said you, B, C, D, E, H, L are the general purpose resistors. So if they are going to be make it as a pairs, so BC is one pair, DE is one pair, and HL is another pair. So these are the pairs which is going to have the 16-bit. If single in the sense, we will be going to have 8-bit. So each resistor can hold 8-bit of data. As I have said you, each resistor can hold 8-bit of data. If you want to hold the 16 bit of data, then we have to make use of the pairs, BC pair, DE pair, and the HL pair. Suppose if the data is 16 bit, so here 8 bit is going to be stored and here 8 bit is going to be stored. If it is a BC pair, BC. So this is the higher order and this is the lower order. So individually, if B wants to take, it is going to store only 8 bit of data. If C wants to take, it is going to store only 8 bit of data. If combinedly we have to store the 16 bit of data, in the sense we have to make use of this BC pair or DE pair or HL pair in order to hold the 16 bit of data. We'll be going to make use of that BC, DE and HL pairs. And next one is program counter. So what is the actual task of the program counter is, the program counter holds the address of the next instruction to be executed. So suppose this is the program counter, right? So this is the program counter. So these are the instructions over here. So X, Y, Z, P. Now CPU, what the CPU is going to do, it will be going to execute one instruction after another. CPU is executing P instruction. CP, this is the instructions. CP, Q, R, S. These are the four instructions are there, and CPU is currently executing P instruction. What the program counter will hold is, program counter will holds the address of Qth instruction. That means next instruction to be executed. So in order not to waste the time, so what this program counter is going to do is, it is going to give the instruction, next instruction address to the CPU, so that CPU can execute it very much fastly without fetching or without waiting for the next instruction. So that is the major purpose of the program counter. So program counter points to the memory address of the next instruction. So that is how the program counter is going to be do. And the stack pointer, what the use of the stack pointer, we know that stack pointer always points to the top of the stack. So this is the stack. Why? Because only one end for insertion and one end for deletion. So this we call it as a stack. A stack pointer, it is a 16-bit register. Stack pointer is a 16-bit register. So in this stack pointer, we can do two operations, that is push and pop. Push in the sense inserting of elements, pop in the sense deleting of elements. Fine, push and pop instructions are going to be done. Push in the sense inserting of elements are going to be done. Pop in the sense deleting of elements is going to be done. So these are the two instructions that are going to be done on the stack pointer. So when it comes to the stack pointer, like we'll be going to have the stack pointer, which is always points to the top of the stack. So here this is the stack pointer, stack in the sense, here the stack pointer is always pointing to the top of the stack. Some here X, Y, Z in the sense, stack pointer will always point to the top of the stack, that is Z. And next one is the temporary register. As I have said you, it is an 8-bit register which holds the temporary data of arithmetic and logical operations. So these arithmetic and logical operations are going to be done in the ALU. As the operations are performed by the result, so that data is going to be stored in the temporary register. So that is the purpose of this temporary register. Next one is flag register. As I have said you, flag register. So here we are going to have 5 flags. So what are the 5 flags in the sense? Sign flag, zero flag, auxiliary carry flag, parity flag, and the carry flag. So these are the 5 flags. For each and every flag, we'll be going to have a flip-flop. We'll be going to have a flip-flop which holds either 0 or 1 value. So depending on the result stored in the accumulator, if it is a 0, like it is not at all working. If it is a 1, then it is going to be uh, affected, then it is going to be done. So that is the purpose of this flag resistors. So instead of flag resistors, like flag resistors were mainly used, why? Because like in order to check the output, or in order to check what is the thing that is going to be done, like we need to have the sign flag. Sign flag in the sense, if the result is positive, then the sign flag is going to be set. If the result is 0, then zero flag is going to be set. If it the auxiliary carry in the sense, if it is going to be 1, then the auxiliary carry flag is going to be set. Parity flag in the sense, if it is an even parity and odd parity, we'll be going to have two types of parities, even parity and odd parity. So even parity in the sense, the parity flag is going to be checked. Parity is nothing but even number of ones, then the parity flag is going to be checked. And next, the carry. Then the carry flag is going to be set. So this is how the flag resistors are going to be there. So sign flag, zero flag, auxiliary carry flag, parity flag, and the carry flag. So these are the 5 flags we are having. So as I have said you, so these are the flag resistors we are having. So why we are going to have 8 in the sense, 8086 is going to have 8086 is going to have 9 flags. Fine, but we are not bothered about it. When it comes to the 8085, in 8085 we are going to have 5 flags: carry flag, parity flag, carry flag, parity flag, auxiliary carry flag, sign flag, and the zero flag. So that is the about the flag resistors. Instruction register. So what an instruction register is do, when an instruction is fetched from the memory, then it is stored in the instruction register. So instruction decoder, what it is going to do, it decodes the instruction that is fetched from the memory, and it is going to be uh, given for further execution. Timing and control unit, it provides the timing and control signals. So here the control signals are ready, write, and ALE. ALE stands for address latch enable. Status signals are S0, S1, and IO by M. DMA signals are HOLD, hold and hold acknowledgement. Reset signals are reset in and reset out. Reset out. These are the timing and the control unit signals. Interrupt control, as we have seen, 3 main interrupts are RST 7.5, 5.5, 6.5, and trap. Fine. And serial input and serial output, it controls the serial data communication by using these two instructions. So serial input and serial output uh, are the two instructions which are going to be done. Fine. And next one is address buffer and address data buffer. Address buffer is used to hold higher order bits, and address and data buffer is used to hold the lower order bits as well as the data. So address bus and data bus. So data bus carries the data and address bus carries the address. So this is the block diagram or 8085 architecture as we have seen in the first slide of our PPT. Fine. This is how 8085 architecture is going to be having. Fine. Go through the video, and if you are going to watch the video completely, like you will be going to understand it very much better. Fine. Each and every unit has been covered. Each and every functional unit has been covered. Watch clearly till the video completes. Fine. This is the end of the today's class, students. And tomorrow we'll be going to come up with the new topic of 8085 processor architecture. Fine. Thank you all, students. Have a great day.